Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Still trying to figure out why so many on Wall Street hate annuities? Well, stay tuned as we share with you part 3 of why savers love annuities, and you should too.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the WorryFree Retirement, with your host, nationally recognized retirement specialist and 6-time author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
For the past several weeks, we have covered in great length on this show the reason many of the folks representing Wall Street hate annuities. Now, after personally working in the trenches and being one of those few financial advisors who understands and works on both sides of the aisle, the world of Wall Street and the world of annuities, I can tell you why this is. Those on Wall Street are not savers. They are rather investors and speculators, and therein lies the problem and the reason you cannot find anything good out there about annuities. That's because you're looking and listening to people who don't think like you do. Advisors and financial entertainers who don't have the same makeup as you do and who do not understand how hard you have worked to save the money you have saved. Which is why today, as a saver myself, I'm going to share with you one of the most important attributes of annuities that no other investment can offer. Something my granddad enjoyed for his lifetime, a guaranteed income he, and yes, you, can never outlive. Something he called mailbox money.
Mailbox money.
So let's get started with why I love annuities and you should too, part 3. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, the annuity king himself, retirement planning specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we get started with why I love annuities and you should too, part 3, let me introduce 3 fun-loving technicians here in the Worry-Free Production Studios making this show happen each week. America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Louisville, Kentucky's most laid-back graphics artist, Mr. Derek Hudson. And finally, our associate producer, Miss Meek and Mild, Mary Beth Combs. Okay, let's regroup and summarize where we have been these last 2 weeks on why yours truly loves these products we call annuities. First and foremost, let's quickly remind our viewers of what an annuity is. It's a contract between you and an insurance company which, assuming you are purchasing what's called a fixed annuity, offers you, the annuitant, that's you, a guaranteed return on your money, and most importantly, if you so choose, the ability to guarantee an income you can never outlive. So let that sink in for just a minute, because as we record this show on November 1st, 2022, and the stock market serving as a reminder of just how wild a ride this can be, there's no way that anyone in the financial world, particularly those on Wall Street, can honestly say that the stock market has the ability to guarantee that you and I won't run out of money in retirement. There's no way. No guarantees. It's not going to happen. That's because stocks, bonds, savings accounts at the bank, and yes, even that gold and silver you've got buried in the backyard cannot guarantee that you won't one day run out of money. Yet there's hope, because as a fiduciary and someone who has met in person with over 15,000 savers, I can tell you for sure that there is a financial tool that's been around for over 100 years that can, and it's called an annuity. You see, friend, since an annuity is a contract, that contract between you and the insurance company who issues the contract says in writing that no matter how long you live, depending on how you set up the annuity, that insurance company must pay you an income for the rest of your life. Listen, even if the account runs out. That's why we call annuities
Sweet insurance.
So no matter how much Wall Street and others tell you how much they hate annuities, as we'll learn today, assuming you are a saver and are more concerned with the return of your money than on it, you're going to want to stay tuned as I break down the wonderful attributes of mailbox money and how an insurance company can guarantee you an income for the rest of your life. I'm Tony Walker. You stay tuned. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement. I'll be right back. With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. One of the most important elements offered by most annuities is something that my granddad referred to as
Mailbox money.
So what is mailbox money, and how can it guarantee savers an income they can never outlive? Well, here's my personal definition of annuities, and that's this wonderful stream of income we show right here. It's a contract between you and the insurance company, which, assuming you're purchasing a fixed annuity, offers you, the annuitant, a guaranteed return on your money, and most importantly, if you so choose, the ability to guarantee an income you can never outlive. So what I thought I would do today to talk about the pros and cons of mailbox money, more specifically what happens to the annuity when you begin your lifetime income, is to talk about these two types of mailbox money. So let's take a look at them. First of all, you have something called annuitization. Okay, this has been around over 100 years. We'll talk about the pros and cons of annuitizing annuity for mailbox money. And then we've got the more modern day annuities that came out in the mid-90s. So let's talk about annuitization. First of all, almost any annuity you ever purchase, in the contract of that annuity, it'll talk about the ability to annuitize that annuity. All right? The next thing is, if you do elect to send that mailbox money to yourself for a period of time, once you elect annuitization, you cannot change your mind. The next is, you can select a lot of different options. You can annuitize for your life, for the life of a spouse. You can do what's called a period certain for a number of years. So there's lots of different options to annuitize that annuity. But again, whenever that option is selected and income begins, you cannot change your mind. I like this, single joint and period stop. So with an annuity, annuitization, in most cases, there are no beneficiaries, no death benefits. You're trying to select how long the annuity will last and for which people it's going to benefit. Those would be the annuitants. And finally, I would say an annuitization is most like granddad's pension. As we can see here, full screen, here's my granddad's pension. And if you'll notice, his wife Hazel was mentioned as the annuitant. So when anybody says, well, I don't know about those annuities, well, if you've got a pension or if you know somebody that's got a pension, they've annuitized it, and therefore it is basically an annuity. All right, let's take a look at the more modern day annuities. Basically, a modern day annuity is something that attaches to itself an income rider. We're going to look at this in a minute. So an income rider is not annuitized. You're simply selecting income. So what does that mean? Well, basically, there's going to be two separate accounts. There's going to be something called the income value, which we'll show you in a minute, and then there's something called the contract value. So it's a little different than annuitization. Now, this can be used when you set up mailbox money for either you or your spouse, okay? Those are the only two beneficiaries. You can't get into period certains and benefits for kids. It's only going to be elected for either you or your spouse, okay? The next is the income value, which these can be humongous. They can have huge bonuses applied to them, large 7 and 8% guaranteed returns on them. Listen closely, folks, as we're going to see. The income value is not a real number. It is not going to be left to anybody. It is used to calculate your income, which leaves us with the final point. Because this is a rider and it's doing a lot of things the annuity was really not meant to do, there's usually going to be an extra fee for the income rider. Okay, so let's take a look at an illustration. I see this all the time, and I know this might feel like it's getting in the weeds, but this is really, really important. Because what a lot of times I'll see people coming to me, they've been to an annuity peddler offering 20% bonuses or 7% or 8% guaranteed returns, which is fine, and a lot of times that's attached to what we call the income account, but it is not what's really available to the kids when you die. So let's kind of play through this a little bit. As you can see, whenever I'm assuming a contract value, that's the amount of death benefit that if you elect income will be left to your beneficiaries when you die, and what I like to assume is worst case scenario. So even though an income product with a rider might be paying 7% guaranteed, the contract value, that's the part that's linked to the market, may not make anything. And I'm going to show you the effect of this and why it's so important to understand. So in this example, you can see the person was 62 years of age, they elected income, and the lifetime income was $3,444 a year. Now there's a reason we circled age 75. So Derek, let's go one more screen here. There you go. So this person had an income product. They did not annuitize it. They simply elected income. So they could stop this income at any time they wanted, but we're going to assume they keep paying income out. Notice over here, this is the minimum contract values at 0 return. A lot of advisors won't show you this because they don't want to talk about it. This could happen. So in this example, taking out $3,400 a year at age 75, you'll see that there is no contract value left. Now there's a positive and a negative to this. The positive is, even though the account has been drained, so to speak, you're still, or your wife, is going to get that $3,444 a year for the rest of your life. However, in this example, if you were to die, as you can tell, there is nothing left for the kids. So you say, well, what's the solution? Well, the solution is you better be talking to a fiduciary that represents a lot of different companies and a lot of different products, because there's a ton of them out there. And then you want to make sure that fiduciary has a game plan to help you make a decision on which annuity is right for you. Oh, speaking of knowing which annuities are right for you, I thought it would be a good time to go to one of our assistants in the annuity department at our Bowling Green office, Miss Jennifer J.J. Jaggers, to tell us a little bit about what's going on at Tony Walker Financial. So good morning, J.J.
Good morning, Tony.
So J.J., tell us briefly your work history there at Tony Walker Financial and, of course, your role with us.
Sure. So I come from a banking background. I've been with Tony Walker Financial about 3 years now, and my official title is Annuity New Business Administrator.
Oh, sounds good. Love it. Okay, so as far as the number of annuities we do, year to date, I know we're recording this show on November 1st, 2022. Where are we in terms of the number of annuities we have written so far this year?
We have written around 500 annuities, totaling around $66 million year to date.
Oh, wow. And you and Connie Fortney, who head up the annuity department, just doing such a marvelous job. Okay, as fiduciaries, which we are, we like to say there's no one size fits all when it comes to annuities. So how do we prove that we are doing just that for our clients and prospective clients versus maybe some of the annuity peddlers we run into out there?
Tony, we represent around 6 to 8 different annuity companies. They offer around probably 20 different products. Each person's situation is different. Each individual is different. So we try to make sure that each person is fit with their perfect annuity for their unique circumstances.
Oh, well said, JJ. And we certainly appreciate all you're doing. I didn't realize we'd written that many annuities this year. So again, kudos to you and Connie Fortney and all the gang there at Tony Walker Financial that puts all these wonderful income plans together, our Schwab department. It really does take a team effort. We just thank you so much for your efforts.
Thank you, Tony. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Connie Fortney, and my work at Tony Walker Financial is mainly in the annuity new business. One of the biggest questions we see is, why can't I place all my money in the annuities? It's my money. And that's exactly right. It is your money, and we never forget that. Keep in mind, though, annuity companies have to abide by something called suitability, which means making sure a portion of your money is very liquid in case of unexpected needs and emergencies. Most companies abide by a 70-30% rule, meaning no more than 70% of your money should be in the annuities and at least 30% of your money should be liquid. You can count on the fiduciaries in our office to take that very seriously and do what is right by the client. I hope that's a helpful tip.
Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. Tony Walker, and I hope you're enjoying this third episode of I Love Annuities, and you should too. And in fact, if you want to go back and watch any of our prior episodes, go to youtube.com, just type in Tony Walker Financial, hit the subscribe button. You'll be notified of everything we've got going on. We've got all kinds of wonderful educational content for you to learn more about money and retirement. Now, speaking of something that has nothing to do with money and retirement, I'm excited to announce that it is just published. It's official. I've written now my 6th book. This one has nothing to do with money. In fact, it's called The Adventures of Tony, Bologna, and Cookie, and you can purchase one in any major bookstore. It's basically a little bit about my childhood. A lot of the stories are real, some of them made up, and these were stories that I read to my grandchildren, Scout and Ivy, and decided to put them in the form of a book. It's a wonderful book. If you've got children, grandchildren, you love to read to them, I invite you to get a copy of The Adventures of Tony, Bologna, and Cookie. And remember, this has nothing to do about money, but has a lot to do about having lots of fun. Okay, let's get back to the show. In our remaining time, a great Tony in the trenches. It actually came from one of our clients at a recent client appreciation dinner. Her name was Sheila here in Louisville, and she said, Tony, what are your thoughts on investing in Bitcoin? Well, first of all, Bitcoin is not something I think a saver should have because it falls into the speculation area. But some people might say, well, Tony, who else thinks out there maybe Bitcoin is not right for savers? Well, how about Mr. Warren Buffett? I'm sure you've heard of him. Recently, he had this to say about Bitcoin. He said, I wouldn't spend $25 for all the Bitcoin in the world, and I loved his reason as to why. Because it doesn't produce anything. Did you hear that, folks? It doesn't produce anything. And what I would say to that too, amen. But if you're a saver and you're looking for something safe that produces a lifetime income for the rest of your life, well, you got to consider annuities because they're going to produce that mailbox money, or something I like to refer to as what's in your mailbox. Because isn't that the key? Don't you want something consistently producing income, just like my granddad, where he went out to the mailbox every month and collected a guaranteed check? Well, that's what annuities do. But then you say, well, Tony, you mentioned earlier about how you're different than other maybe annuity peddlers or people selling annuities. How are you so different? Well, it's something we call the split IRA concept. So in the next couple of minutes, let me kind of share with you how this works. It's an ingenious little way that we've come up with to help savers understand annuities, how to use those with our Charles Schwab platform, which is our stocks, bonds, mutual funds, bank products, etc. And how are we going to use these to make sure that you, number one, have access to your money, have low fees, and on the back end have that annuity that provides the mailbox money. Well, this is just an example. This is our average case. We have some much larger, some less, but let's say somebody comes to us, they're getting ready to retire, and they have $300,000 in a 401k plan, and they want Tony Walker Financial to manage it. CS, by the way, stands for Charles Schwab. So we might put a certain percentage of assets in Schwab. Now, why would we do that? Well, we're going to have this, and by the way, folks, we do all of this work for only 0.8%. I ran into somebody the other day that's getting charged 2% for basically not doing any of these services. They're just shuffling money around. But basically, we want that money accessible so we can get you money whenever you need it, lickety-split, linked to your checking account. And we do all this for you. Then we might use what's called a short-term annuity here. And right now, as we record this show, we've got some paying as high as 5% guaranteed. That's pretty darn good interest rate. And then that way, over the 3 or 5 year period, whatever those guarantees might be, when that annuity matures, if you want to reload the Schwab, if you want to spend it, if you want to reinvest it, you've got all kinds of flexibility. And then on the back end of this, we might elect to put some mailbox money.
Mailbox money.
And that's the money that we're going to turn on at some point as you get into what we call old age to make sure you never run out of money. So folks, if you don't have something like this, if you don't have an advisor that understands both the worlds of Wall Street and the world of these annuities, my question is, why not? And guess what? It's very easy to learn more about our services at Tony Walker Financial. In fact, I've been doing this for over 38 years. I've seen more than 15,000 people in person, and I'd like the opportunity to talk to you. So if you're retired, retiring soon, maybe you've got a 401k that needs to be looked at from a former employer, maybe you've received an inheritance or received a large sum of money for whatever reason, we need to talk. So right now, why don't you do this? Go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, and click on that Let's Get Started button. Or if you like, you can simply call the toll-free number on your screen, and we'll set up what we call a free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. Well, what does the Bible have to say about this whole notion of providing guarantees and making sure that you're strong with God as you get into what we call old age? We've got some really good news coming up. I better give me a cup of coffee for this. You're watching the Worry-Free Retirement.
Have yourself a merry little Christmas.
WorryFree Music presents the greatest collection of Christmas covers ever assembled.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Hey!
Tony Walker's A Humdinger Christmas. 486 timeless classics across 6 digitally remastered 8-track tapes.
Happy holidays!
Every song fills your home with holiday magic.
Sing ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding, ding ding-a-ding, dong ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding, ding ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding, ring ding-a-ding.
Don't miss this opportunity to receive Tony Walker's A Humdinger Christmas, the perfect way to celebrate the joy of this holiday season.
Dashing through the snow, hey, and one horse open sleigh, yeah.
Only $685 plus $3 shipping and handling. Order yours today.
8-track tape player not included. Offer void where prohibited.
And from all of us at Tony Walker Financial, have a Merry Christmas.
With the uncertainty of the stock market, our nation's debt spiraling out of control, and inflation running rampant, now may be the best time to consider moving your 401k to safer territory. My name is Tony Walker, and for over 38 years, I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and I want to help you too. To speak with me at no cost or obligation, why don't you log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or simply call the toll-free number on your screen. Regardless of how long one might live, to me, the greatest attributes of annuities are their ability to provide a guaranteed source of income for the rest of one's life. Again, guaranteed. And with the thought of an investment such as an annuity, providing guaranteed income well into old age, is well the fact of getting older and depending on others comes to bear. Check out this exchange following the resurrection of Jesus Christ, where Jesus reminds Peter of this fact on growing old, where in John 21:18 he summarizes life this way: while we are young, we can come and go as we so please, but there will be a day for all of us when we will lose the gird of a healthy life and be forced to gird ourselves to the assistance from others. I see this play out all the time. Clients who I have met years ago who look like spring chickens, but now years later are having a tough time going it alone. Why, just the other day, an older gentleman who responded to this TV show paid me a visit to review his finances. Accompanying him through the front door of our office building was his adult daughter, who literally had to assist him, or as the Bible says, gird him into our offices. After sharing a few pleasantries, I asked the man what he used to do for a living, to which he responded, "I used to be a pastor, but now I'm preaching to the homeless in downtown Louisville." Trying to picture this elderly gentleman navigating the streets of downtown Louisville by himself, I asked why he preached to the homeless. His reply, "While I may not be able to walk anymore without assistance, I can sure still preach to those who need the assistance of God." Notice back in John 21:18, Jesus uses this word gird. Webster's defines the word gird as to prepare for action, to encircle or bind with a flexible band, to make something fast or secure, or to surround. Besides Jesus reminding us to be girded, the idea of being girded to something that can assist us, yes, into old age, is also mentioned in Psalm 45:3 and in Ephesians 6:14. So what's the point, you might ask, and why am I reminding you of this depressing news of growing old and relying on loved ones, or heaven forbid, complete strangers that will one day need to assist us all? Well, in my humble opinion, this thing of growing old is simply a reminder of God's grace and His mercy to gird us with His strength, His love, and yes, overcoming death. In other words, if it were not for old age, we might forget that one day we will die, which is why God sent Jesus to earth in the first place, to conquer the sting of death and to gird us with this all-important truth. He was, and He came to do what God sent Him to do, to gird us and to save us from death. Bottom line, assuming you've placed your trust in this man Jesus, there is no reason to fear the aging process and growing old, even if it means being tossed in a nursing home and girded about by complete strangers. That's because we who believe are girded in a truth that endures, a truth that gives us hope, and a truth that will never fail us no matter how long we might live. And if you ask me, that's the kind of truth that I want to take to the bank. Amen? So, how about you? Are you girded with a financial product that can guarantee you won't run out of money? Or are you still being duped into thinking that Wall Street can provide such a guarantee as those only offered by annuities? Well, assuming you are a saver and you're that person who is more concerned about the return of their money than on it, we need to talk. My name is Tony Walker, and for the past 38 years, I've made it my life's mission to help savers worry less about money, and one way we help savers beat their worries is with mailbox money, and a process that includes myself, 3 salaried fiduciaries, and a full-time staff of 11 service professionals whose only interest is to help you enjoy the fruits of your labor before it's too late. So if you're retired or retiring soon and don't have a trusted advisor, someone who can sit down with you in person and talk and look at your situation, we need to talk. And to do so, it's absolutely free. All you got to do is log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and we'll arrange what we call a free 10-minute fiduciary phone call. Then if it warrants, I'll be happy to meet with you in person at either our Bowling Green, Louisville, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. So log on now, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or give us a call at the toll-free number on your screen. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's program. I'm Tony Walker, and you remember, between now and next week, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.